Hi, I'm John Palmer, the author of How to Brew. I've been teaching people how to brew beer for the past 30 years, and today I'm going to teach you how to brew real beer in your kitchen. Let me be clear about this. I'm going to teach you what beer is and how the brewing process works, not just give you a recipe. A recipe is simply a collection of ingredients and a plan. It's the understanding and execution of that plan that makes all the difference between success and failure. In many ways, learning to brew beer is like learning to drive a car. You don't need to know how the engine works in order to drive it. You can use that car to go anywhere you want, even someplace you've never been before. As you grow more experienced at driving, you will also gain a better understanding of the car and how it works. It's the same with the brewing process, and when you understand the process, you can use it to make any style of beer in the world and maybe even invent your own. The brewing process consists of three main steps: making the wort, boiling the wort, fermenting the wort, and bottling the beer. Okay, four main steps: making the wort, boiling the wort, fermenting the wort, and bottling the beer. What is wort? I'm glad you asked. Wort is made by extracting the sugars from malted barley with hot water. Then that sweet wort is boiled with hops to provide a balancing bitterness. Then that bitter wort is fermented with yeast to make beer. Making the wort and boiling the wort takes about half a day. Fermenting the wort can take about 2 weeks. After that, bottling the beer will take another hour, and then it takes another week for it to carbonate in the bottle. But at the end of that month, you will have good beer that you made yourself and can share with friends. Now, with any process or set of instructions, it's important to understand the priorities, what is important and what's not important. To brew good beer, the top 5 priorities are good sanitation, good yeast management, good fermentation temperature control, a good boil, and a good recipe. Number 1 is good sanitation. You want a nice, clean fermentation, and you won't have that if your wort or your equipment is contaminated with wild yeast or bacteria. Number 2 is good yeast management. You need to pitch a sufficient quantity of fresh, healthy yeast. Fermentation temperature control is number 3. Yeast is very dependent on temperature. Too cold and they go to sleep, too hot and they produce off flavors such as acetaldehyde and solvent-tasting fusel alcohols. You need to maintain a stable temperature during fermentation. Number 4 is a good boil. Beer and brewing is food and cooking. If you don't cook it long enough, it won't taste right. The boil is where a lot of important Maillard reactions occur, and these develop subtle but important flavor compounds. Number 5 is a good recipe. A good recipe is all about having the right proportions. However, the good fermentation of a bad recipe will make a better beer than the bad fermentation of a good recipe. Okay? Remember that. Next, we're going to talk about equipment. But before we get to that, I want to re-emphasize the importance of cleaning and sanitizing. In brewing, we talk about the hot side and cold side of the process. The hot side is everything up to and including the boil. The cold side is everything after the boil, particularly fermentation. The heat of the boil will sanitize everything that happens on the hot side. But afterwards, you need to ensure that your equipment and anything that touches the wort is sanitized. The hot side equipment just needs to be clean. The heat of the boil will take care of sanitization. The cold side equipment needs to be clean and sanitized. As you will see later, I keep a spray bottle of sanitizer handy as I'm brewing, and a sanitized tray or bucket that I can set things in until I need them again. To brew beer, there are 2 pieces of equipment that are absolutely necessary. The first is a good 5-gallon kettle or stock pot. These can be either aluminum or stainless steel. You should be able to find a good one for less than $50. Don't buy a cheap one. You don't want the handle to break off when you're carrying hot wort. The other thing you need is a fermenter, such as this 6-gallon bucket. These HDPE plastic buckets are the most economical choice for clean sanitary fermentations. They are larger than the 5-gallon buckets that you can get at the hardware store and come with a lid and airlock. Now, I recommend that you go online and find a local homebrewing supply shop and buy a complete beginner's equipment kit there. These kits will have everything you need and cost between $80 to $150 depending on the contents. A standard beginner's equipment kit consists of a bucket fermenter with a lid and airlock, a bottling bucket with a spigot or a siphon and fill tube, mesh bags for holding your steeping grains and hops, a bottle capper, bottle caps, and a bottle cleaning brush, and cleaning and sanitizing chemicals. The kit should also include a homebrewing book, such as How to Brew, a digital thermometer, and a hydrometer. Thermometers are very important for measuring the temperature of your water and wort. Hydrometers are used for measuring the sugar concentration of your wort by its density. If your equipment kit doesn't include a hydrometer or a thermometer, then I recommend that you buy them both separately.